Here we go, episode 7. Happy Monday. It's Monday morning. It's 4 a.m. It's time to party. I drop these at, make them release at 4 a.m. Just in case you're one of these early risers, and this helps you on your way to work or whatever it is, you're going to catch your Monday love, and you're not going to miss it. You're not going to have to wait till on the ride home. Anyway, today I want to talk about fear. Behavior 1 in the book. Habit number 1 is to beat fear. There's some good discussion in there. I talk about what it is and examples of how I've dealt with it, different kinds of fear, but it's a big thing. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of pieces to what fear is, and I think it's a natural thing. It's normal. We as humans, So I'm watching this documentary the other day. And they're talking about, it was The Social Dilemma. If you guys have seen that one, it's pretty good. It talks about how Facebook and Twitter and all these things are kind of fucking with your life a little bit. At least that's how they left you thinking at the end of it. And one of the comments one of the guys on there made was that in the last 100 years, in the last 30 years, technology has increased at such an unbelievably rapid rate that there's just no way that we as humans can possibly evolve to adapt to it, so to speak. So technology is figuring us out faster than we are changing or figuring ourselves out. The point being this, that we're the same kind of caveman people that we have been for a long, long time, but now there are so many more stimuli out there, and technology is a big one. And the point I'm trying to make is that's why fear is where it is in our lives. I mean, look around your world for the most part. You don't really have most people, you're not going to have any things to be afraid of that are fatal, right? You've kind of conquered that shit. When you're a kid, you figure out, look both ways before you cross the road. Don't drive when you're shit drunk. There's just all these things that that are going to really decrease your chances of dying in an accident during your lifetime. So that kind of fear, really doesn't exist anymore. Like I say in the audiobook, we don't have mountain lions or tigers. There's no polar bears outside your door, mostly depending on where you live. So, you don't really need to be afraid for the most part. So the fears that you deal with from day to day, they're pretty damn small. It's social anxiety. I'm going to this business meeting and I'm not going to know anybody there. Am I going to fit in? Am I going to be all right? Just walking into a restaurant or bar, looking around, is anybody going to know me? I don't know. What are people afraid of? What kinds of things go through your head? Am I going to do my job well? Am I going to? My point is this, and I'll talk about this a bunch today. If you can just do this one thing, you can practice this one habit, it does a great job of taking a lot of your fear away. And that's to follow your fear out to its worst possible conclusion. So let's take that business meeting, all right? You go into the business meeting and you realize you forgot your pants. It's probably not going to happen. But if it does, you know what? It's probably just going to be a source of laughter. You'll go get your pants, That's not going to happen. 99.9999% chance that's not going to happen. That's just a bad dream that you have. All right, let's say you go to the business meeting and, it just doesn't work out well. You don't get along with these guys, whoever it is that you're talking to. Well, you'll move on. I mean, you'll still go home and you still get a hug and a kiss from your wife, and, you'll be okay. You're going into a social situation where you're in a room full of people you don't know. You go in there and you're not the star of the show. You don't make everybody laugh immediately. Maybe you should go in there without your pants on. That'll make them laugh. You're still the same person. You're still going to drive home in the same car, sleep in the same bed. Nothing's going to change. These are people you didn't know before. You don't know them now. You're no worse off. And there's no reason to be afraid of that. This isn't high school. And even then, having all your friends laugh at you is terrible. But as a grown-up, you're grown up. sure you can take that. You can deal with it. Job concerns. Say you're worried about you're going to lose your job. I'll tell you, my business right now is, I'm working my ass off to build it in other states because Michigan has just become a tank for, any kind of economy, So the business isn't doing well here, so I'm expanding other places. Well, there it is. So I was afraid, all right, I'm going to fail in Michigan. So I had to start hustling to build it somewhere else. That's what I did. I followed it out to its worst possible conclusion. What if I lose all my business in Michigan? Well, then I'll have to work other places. Well, I guess I better start looking other places right now before that eventuality comes around. There's just no sense being afraid. Fear doesn't have any real rational place in an adult life, really, not anymore. Let's think about this. I was talking about how technology in the world has advanced around us, but our bodies and our minds in a lot of ways have not. You tell me one reason why, when you're nervous or afraid, why your palms sweat. The fuck does that do for you? How does that help you? Your mouth gets dry and you start to shake a little bit. Whatever it is, when you're real afraid. None of these things helps you at all. So if you can get out of those thinking processes that make you afraid, or get past them, I should say, you have all these weird physical symptoms that they'll go away. And that's got to be good. I think about, all right, why does it exist? All right, so we're evolved to deal with, and I talk about this a lot. We as humans are evolved to deal with adversity, like real adversity, like wolves coming and stealing your baby out of your hut type of shit. And they're just, like I said, that doesn't exist anymore, but we have not evolved past it. The threat's gone, but we are still evolved to deal with adversity. And I talk about this a lot, like the state of our country right now. We as a people are so dialed in and so genetically predisposed to deal with adversity that when it's not there, we'll fucking create it. We will. Look at the what's going on in politics right now. You've got the left and the right, and I've talked about this before, and they are just completely focused on not winning, but making sure the other side doesn't win. It's a contrived adversity. It's a contrived competition that doesn't need to be there, but because we are so genetically predisposed to wanting adversity, we create it when it's not there. It's bullshit. It sucks. You watch it all the time, especially with the social media. You watch people on there, on Facebook or Twitter, and they're complaining about how rough their life is. And of course, there's always people who have it worse. There's always people who have it better, but you are creating adversity for yourself. You know what I mean? You have to know that. You have to be aware of that you biologically are going to want that. You're going to want some adversity. And I talked about that last week with football, about how it's a contrived adversity that we're creating because we need something to bleed that off. Otherwise, we'll find it other places. I don't know if that's making a whole lot of sense to you, and I don't have a lot of research behind it. It's all kind of anecdotal. But I should research that, shouldn't I? I should look into that, why people do that stuff. So some things that people are afraid of right now. And I can tell you this from firsthand experience. This coronavirus bullshit, no matter which side of it you're on, there's fear involved. I talked to a guy yesterday, older guy, and I said, or actually this a few weeks ago, it was the first day that Michigan reopened bars and restaurants. And I'm like, hey man, bars and restaurants are open. Something to be happy about, I'm trying to perk up his day. And he's like, well, I don't know. I don't get it. People are in a hurry to get out there and get themselves sick. It's I had it and I don't feel good and I still have memory loss and my body's weak and achy and it's not like it used to be. And I'm like, you think maybe it's because you're old? I don't know. That was the first thought that went through my head. Fuck, man, I probably have a lot of bad karma coming my way with that. As I get older, I'll probably fall apart. I used to make fun of my mom for, holding her phone out and squinting at it. I do the same fucking shit now. Do the same shit. I wear these fucking glasses. Anyway, so he's got fear, this older guy, that lots of people are going to get sick, and it's going to cause deaths, and it's going to cause all these problems. From my perspective and lots of other people's perspective, it's the economy is the concern. Everybody knows you can't pay people to stay home and not work. If you're doing that at all, it's going to have ripple effects for a long time. I'm going to tell you, 5 years before we're over all this shit, the economic repercussions of this. And, you call it what you will, like the devaluation of the dollar, unemployment. Those are the things that I'm afraid of. I've got a small business. And the things that the government is doing to us right now is a direct attack on that. It's taking away small. You want to run a restaurant or a bar or a construction company or anything else, you're fucked. That's what that's what the government has done to us as a result of this epidemic. Anyway, you can be afraid of whatever you want, is my point. But you got to find a way to work your way through that. I talk about in the book, I talk about beating fear. And I don't say don't be afraid. Okay? Because that's natural as fuck. You can't change what your emotions are, what your feelings are. If you're afraid of something, I just encourage you to attack that shit head on. Look right at it and go, all right, what am I really afraid of here? What is the worst case scenario? How bad can this possibly go? Like I look at my business. I mentioned that I was concerned about that. And I think, all right, what if I have to, I don't make any money for months and, I can't pay my mortgage payment or something like that. And I'm like, all right, the worst case, my place up north is paid for. I could sell my house here, put some of my shit in storage, and go move to my cabin. And my overhead there would be nothing. I don't really have any debt outside of my house. So that's my worst case scenario. And so my worst case scenario it's not terrible. I've got a place to live. It's functional. It's got running water and electricity and all that shit. And I can operate my business out of there. I've got the internet. I could do what I needed to do. That would be my worst case scenario. So once you know that, once you look at whatever you're afraid of and you find that backstop, you find that bookend. All right, it can't get worse than this because of these other decisions that I've made. Because of these things that I put in play, my life wouldn't be that, won't be that bad in the worst case scenario. Well, then it's a stress reliever. You're like, oh, okay, fuck. Because I'll tell you, Edgar Allan Poe, I used to teach English, so I'm going to talk about this shit a lot. Edgar Allan Poe knew this one thing. He knew that the scariest thing in the world is nothing. Okay, and what I mean by that is there's nothing more scary than your imagination. Okay, because that'll scare you worse than anything else possibly could. You read his poem, The Raven. Everybody's probably read that. Nevermore. And what it is this dude, and he's sitting in this room, and he's missing his ex, his dead wife. And, fuck, that's awful. Let me tell you, that's an awful place to be. And, but he's kind of going a little nuts. He's stewing in it. He's marinating in his fear and his discomfort and in his mourning. And so he keeps hearing this. He keeps hearing a knocking at the doors. That's what he thinks he hears. And he's scared to death to go out there. And he opens the door and there's fucking nothing there. And, you'd think there'd be relief there, but the way that he plays it makes it worse because now he knows that he's going nuts. Something's wrong with him. And then the fucking bird starts talking to him. Christ's sakes. Yeah, it's scary. And that's a thing that, like I said, in the 80s, the horror movies were, Freddy Krueger and Jason and all this shit. And you knew that, there was actually a bad guy and you'd see him. And they were scary looking and they were monsters and aliens and all that shit. But what's fucking scarier than worrying about it coming? You know what I mean? When the evil's there, you'll deal with it. When the bad shit's in front of you, you're gonna handle it. But what's scarier than knowing that fucking Jaws is coming after you? You don't see him yet, but you know he's there. Or the the fucking bad guy's coming. These movie makers, they get it. It's the anticipation of the bad shit. That's where the fear is. Dealing with the thing, you'll be fine. That's fight or flight. That's built into you. Whatever it is, you lose your job, you'll start scrambling, you'll get another job, you'll be all right. But the problem for you, for most people, it's worrying about losing your job. It's being afraid of it. You know what I mean? So, that's where that's where the fear is. It's in the ahead of time shit. I talk about in the book, I relay this story about this very elaborate thing that played out in my head about being at a middle school dance and shit in my pants. And, I talk about shit in my pants, and then the DJ at the dance, he shines a spotlight on me and starts talking shit about it. Talking shit. See what I did there? I say right then, I say at the end of that chapter, I'm like, if the guy had a spotlight, fuck him. It's about like looking at yourself and seeing yourself the way that Jordan Peterson talks about it. Prepare your boat. The flood's coming. You got a strong ass boat. You don't give a fuck about what's going on around you. And I know that's a lot to ask, especially with the social stuff, because it is important what people think of you, especially if you're in a job or a career where you work with other people. What they think of you is important. If you like it or not, it is. Now, I don't like that. I always had trouble with this. And I actually just talked to a lady the other day and talking about getting a new client in. And she said, she gave me that standard interview question. Well, what would be the downside of hiring, bringing you on? And I told her this. I said, every place I've ever worked, I have had trouble making people believe that I respect them when I don't. If you are bad at your job, especially back when I was a teacher, when our job was pretty fucking important. If you're bad at it, not only does it make all the rest of us look bad, I mean, that's a small thing, you are bad at helping kids be adults. That's why we're here, and it's very important. If you aren't doing that well, I'm not going to act like I'm okay with you. You know what I mean? If you're lazy, if you're entitled, I'm sorry, I can't hide that shit. And it's difficult for me in social situations too, if I meet a person and I don't like them. Because here's the thing, I don't want to feel like I'm being dishonest. And to my own detriment, I don't want to feel like I'm being dishonest. If I don't respect you, I don't think you're any good. I interviewed a guy for a job here a couple weeks ago, for a football job. And this guy was just fucking shady. I mean, he was not good. He was not a guy we want around. I mean, it wasn't even close. And I'm sure that he knew that that's how I felt. I mean, the guy fucking talked the whole time, so maybe he didn't hear even what I was saying. But that's a downside for me. It's hard for me to act like I like you if I don't. To mostly act like I respect you when I don't. There's professional courtesy. You're working with another pro. I mean, I've definitely worked with other people who I didn't really like, but they were fucking good at what they did. And so you have to respect them and you move forward in that way. So yeah, I get that office environments, it's, you'd be afraid of what people think of you, and you're very concerned with that. But I can tell you this, I mean, maybe not to my extreme, but the less you act like you care, don't go as far as fuck you, I don't give a shit, but the less that you're kind of pandering to people, the more they probably will respect you. I can tell you that. That's how humans work. People want what they can't have. That's how it goes. I mean, I've watched people in office environments who really good at what they do and don't socialize at all, but nobody fucks with them. Worked with this teacher named Stephanie, and we called her the Island. She didn't socialize with anybody. She just came in and did her job and did it real fucking well. But she wasn't involved in any of the politics, the nitpicking or the hen pecking. She was great. She's probably still there. She's successful as shit. One of the best teachers I ever worked with. It works. It works. I don't know what her agenda was or if that was even part of it. That's probably just how she liked to do things. But I know I respected her. It goes a long way. So that'll help you. I'm going back to following things out to their worst possible conclusion. That's probably uncomfortable, right? You don't want to think about failing. You don't want to think about, fuck, lose my job. She might leave me. Well, my wife might leave me. Or my husband might leave me, or whatever it is. Nobody likes to think about that, but it's like popping a zit. You know what I mean? You got to go in there and really look directly at what is scaring me. Where is this fear coming from? You have to walk into it and kind of put that jacket on, put it on, and put it all around you and go, all right, yeah, this is uncomfortable, but fuck, it really isn't that scary. You know? Because I'm going to tell you, the anticipation, and I said it already, the anticipation of whatever it is that you're afraid of, way worse than anything else. Okay? Whatever it is that you're afraid of, I can almost guarantee you, it's not anywhere near as bad as you think it is. And here's another thing I know for sure. The further you stay away from it, the longer you take to address it, the scarier it gets. You know? I know this. If I've got a call to make and I know it's not going to be comfortable, I just plug my nose and eat the vegetables. You know? I just go right after it. Because I'll tell you, it's never going to get easier. It'll only get harder as you wait. So the sooner you do it, the better. Gonna be easier. You don't like doing it, but fucking do it. You know, you don't want to check your investments because you don't want to see that they're low. But being afraid of it's worse than actually seeing how it is. That's how it is in my life anyway. So that's my advice for you on fear. We'll talk a lot more about fear as time goes by. But it's a thing that I encourage you to go beat. It's going to continually challenge you. You got to continually try to go at it. And, one other thing that might help you with fear is this. I'm gonna pull this thing up. Hang on. So when you're going through it, when you're in a difficult situation, when it's real shitty, say you're at your very worst. Okay, you know this is the worst time in your life. I mean, like you really know it. Like you look at everything, not like, oh, this feels so terrible. Like, no, it really is. It is the worst time of your life. There's always a little bit of silver lining. Everybody talks about when you hit rock bottom, and people slap that term around like crazy. Rock bottom is not a term for your worst place in life. Rock bottom is when you have nothing left to lose. Rock bottom isn't when you felt your worst about this topic. I mean, anyway, be careful when you apply that term. But when you do hit your lowest point, and you know it, in your head, you can say to yourself, well, it will never be worse than this. Okay? I will only improve from here. And what I went and grabbed just now is I had this plaque made of the newspaper article of when I got arrested and went to jail. I want to show that to you. Yeah, so this hangs right next to my bed. All right, so when I get up in the morning, it is the first thing I see. All right, and take a look at that guy. Take a look at that. Look at that fat fuck. I'm in my worst place in the world right there. Okay? I'm 25 pounds overweight. I'm 2 weeks out of a divorce. Like, just left my incredibly fucked up abusive wife. And now I'm getting arrested and going to jail. Like, that's my legit mugshot right there. I'm looking at my eyes there, and I mean, that's almost 10 years ago now, but I was dead inside right there. Okay? I was at my absolute worst. I knew that, at least at this point I was afraid of, and it did end up happening. It would be the end of my teaching career, this arrest. I knew I was going to be locked up for a while, at least a few hours. I had no marriage. I had no home. I didn't have my house anymore. I didn't know it, but later on, I had been working out with the police department, and that was going to get taken away from me too. A lot of my life disappeared that night, the night that I got arrested. And a bunch more of it disappeared 2 weeks before that. So that picture is, like I said, that's me at my lowest point. And when I get up in the morning. I look at that every day, and it never ceases to impact me with this. I don't give a shit how bad you think anything you have right now is going. And really everything's going pretty well. So, but when it is bad, I'm going through a breakup or haven't made money in a while or not feeling well, whatever, small things comparatively, thankfully, that I am dealing with now. They will never be that bad. Ever. Okay, I'll never go down that road. I'll never be that low ever again. I was on fucking all kinds of medications and shit. My ex-wife had me taking shit. She said I was bipolar and all this crap. And so I'm like, all right, I'll do whatever I can to make this marriage work. So I was taking these fucking, I don't remember the name of any. I took Klonopin. I remember that was one of them. 3 different drugs. I don't remember which one I was on in this picture, but I was in my worst place. I was. And the upside of that is, like I said, and I didn't know it sitting there right then. I was gripped with fear and anxiety in my life. I was scared to death and shit was real bad. But ultimately what started digging me out of it was, well, one way to go, and that's up. Let's see what I got to do over. Let's see what I can make out of this. And I've made my life great. I really have. And it didn't take that long. It didn't take nearly as long as I thought it would to rebuild and turn myself into something positive. And in a lot of ways, thanks to that. Like I said, I wake up every morning and it provides perspective. It provides appreciation. And I'll tell you over and over again, appreciation is the finest gift a man can receive. So as you're dealing with fear, know that even if it all goes fucking terrible for you, and I hope that doesn't happen, you'll dig out. You will. You got where you are, and that will toughen you, and you will get through it. Everybody says this, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think that's bullshit. And I heard this on, Jax Teller said this on Sons of Anarchy, and it's fucking brilliant. I put it on my Instagram page. He says, people say whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I'm going to paraphrase here. He said, I think that's bullshit. The things that don't kill you, they make you sad, they make you angry, and they piss you off. What makes you stronger are the positive things in your life. It's true. People you love, the things you like doing, the hobbies you have, your career. Mostly it's the people you love. Mostly it's your relationships. That's what I found. I mean, that's what makes you stronger. These bad things, this can make you uncomfortable and sad and embarrassed and afraid. It can. It can. Or you could choose to help it, use it to help you be great, to move you forward and to be the best that you could be. But yeah, that's the fear piece. And again, know this, I'm afraid a lot. I'm afraid of things all the time. I've put myself in this habit of standing up to that shit. Fear is a fucking bully. And so you should treat it that way. You should look it right in the eye, and you should punch it in the fucking mouth. Let it know. Like, you might get your ass kicked, but you're going to go down fighting. Okay? The thing might go bad on you, but you're not going to sit there and let it fucking put it in your butt. You know what I mean? You're going to fucking, you got to fight it. At least at the end of it, you might lose, but you'll respect yourself, and that is incredibly valuable. So that's it. Kick fear's ass whenever you get a chance. My name's Travis Neville. I wrote this book called The Jossman Method. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Audible. You can get it at lots of bookstores in northern Michigan as well as southeast Michigan. My Instagram handle is at Jossman Method. There's some, I put some positive, upbeat stuff on there. Try to do it daily if I can. I put some stuff on Facebook too. But this is the Travis Neville Podcast. This is Beating Fear. And I will talk to you guys next Monday. Have a great week.